So, I live in England, as you can probably all tell from my very British accent. And, you know, we didn't really have a summer this year, and I'm feeling quite hard done by from the fact that we're now getting just cold. It's just cold, and it's windy, and it's raining, and I didn't have a summer, and I'm not too impressed with that. Whether people that have a summer next year, not too hot then. So I wanted to talk about the things I love about England, you know, make me feel better about the fact that it's horrible outside, and I don't want to go outside nowadays. I only go when I have to go. Number one, I would have to say tea. And although this didn't originate from England, it originated in, I think it was India, and then we sort of brought it over, and now we're all like tea. But I like tea, and so that's why it's on here. Also, at number two, I would say a thing that I like about England is that everyone's always like, oh, who was the first king of England? And then everyone's like, I'm not really sure. Well, there wasn't actually a first king of England, because back in like BC, England was split up into different little parts, and there was a king of each part. A bit like the movie The 10th Kingdom, and how there's like a king of each kingdom. A bit like that. That was how England was, and I like that, because no one can really hold the whole title saying, I was the first king of Britain, and I'm amazing in that way. So that's another thing I love about England. Another thing is that we had a king. I'm just trying to find it in my book. We had a king who, someone actually asked me about this guy. They said, who was the king that burnt all the cakes? And I was like, what? Are you sure you're not on about the king who ate all the cakes? And if so, it's Henry VIII. But no, there is actually a king that burnt all the cakes. There is. Alfred the Great. It says over there. I'll read it out to you. The king who burnt the cakes, at the lowest ebb of his reign, while King Alfred was forced to live incognito in deepest Somerset, he was scolded by a swineherd's wife. And the story goes that Alfred was seated by the fireside in the swineherd's hut, lost in thought as he tried a way of defeating the seemingly invincible Vikings. Perhaps he did not hear the women of the house, who was leaving for a few moments, ask him to mind the cakes that she was baking. Or perhaps he forgot to do as he was asked. When she returned and found that the cakes were burnt, she was furious and battered the king about the head with her stick. Now who can actually say, apart from the mothers of the kings, who can actually say they battered a king for burning cakes? That made my day when I read that. Number four, I'd have to say, although the, like, 20th century was like when women were emancipated, the emancipation movement and the suffragettes, that's when they started coming about. I love the fact that in England we were about a few centuries ahead of that, and we actually had a queen in 1559 who was solely ruled on her own. She was like the ultimate feminist movement woman, you know, although, you know, she probably did have influences just as much as any other king, any other prime minister or president does. She did not marry, and I'm on about Elizabeth II, no, first, oh my god, but she didn't marry, okay? She enjoyed her life. She had a very long reign, and although her sister before her, Mary I, technically was like our first proper queen, who was just a queen on her own. She did actually marry. She married Philip II, so technically she didn't rule on her own, because it's kind of common knowledge that he did influence her, and, you know, she did sort of ask his help. And that's what I love about England, you know. We had a woman queen. We still do have a woman queen. Okay? Ah, that's just awesome. And number five, I'm actually going to have to look for this one, because it's in me. Number five. this is kind of a weird thing, and I like it because it's a bit silly, really. We had a king who was called Ethelred the Unready. Now who, on this earth, would really want to be ruled by a king whose, like, nickname was the Unready? Like, not even like clothes-wise. We can forgive him for the fact that he wasn't ready in his clothes when we came to call on him. We cannot, however, forgive him for the fact that he didn't have an army, so when we were attacked, we were just attacked. We were just like, he got up about an hour later and he was like, it was an attack. That's not a true fact, that's just me sort of elaborating on what I think his name must mean. So those are the things I like. 5 things I like about England, and I thought I'd give it to you all, because you all, some of you might have that sad thing where you get sad when it's winter, or you might just be like, it's cold and soft, I don't like it, it's cold and soft, I don't like it, just get me. And the fact that it's getting dark now at like 5 o'clock. So these are my facts to give to you guys to make you feel just a little bit more happier and a little bit more patriotic about your country.